I was in Maple Hall's common room at 10:55 p.m., textbooks stacked around me like uneven barricades. The fluorescent ceiling buzzed overhead, cutting through the silence with its flat, tired hum. Most of the other students had already retreated into their rooms. Doors along the hallway were shut, curtains drawn tight. My phone vibrated on the table, screen flashing white. The campus emergency alert banner appeared across the top. Campus Safety Bulletin. Effective immediately, keep dormitory doors unlocked during emergency hours, 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. This ensures responders have rapid access in case of incident. The message scrolled again in block text, framed by the familiar red border. The tone was the same mechanical chime we always got for fire drills. I read it twice, waiting for some follow-up, context maybe. Nothing came. I muttered to myself, "Unlocked? That's new." The hallway was empty when I glanced down it. A door clicked somewhere above me, the sound carrying through the pipes. I gathered my books and walked back to my dorm room. Nora's door was already closed tight. The little brass latch above the knob was locked. I knocked. "Did you get the alert?" Her voice came muffled. "Yeah." I ignored it. "You're not unlocking?" "It doesn't say why, just says to." "Screw that." I hesitated. What if it's a new policy after the break-ins last semester? No one needs my door unlocked for that. You do what you want, Ash. Her light clicked off. I stood outside for a moment, then keyed into my room across the hall. Inside, I set the books on the desk, dropped into the chair, and checked my phone again. The message was still pinned at the top, timestamped 10:58 p.m. Underneath, a second line had appeared. Compliance required for Maple Hall, floors 2 to 4. That was my floor. The lock on my door looked older than the building. The knob rattled if you tugged it too hard. For a long minute, I just stared at it, thumb rubbing the key in my hand. At exactly 11 p.m., the alert tone buzzed again. The same bulletin appeared, identical wording. I exhaled sharply. Fine. I slid the key in, twisted, and left the knob loose. For a second, nothing. Then a draft slipped past me, carrying the faint dry smell of hallway carpet. The door stood still, but I caught the sound of someone's steps outside. Slow, unhurried. I moved back to the desk, opened my book again, and tried to read the highlighted paragraph. The letters swam. Another step outside, then another. The carpet fibers squeaked lightly under weight. I stood, eased toward the peephole. The corridor stretched left and right, fluorescent tubes buzzing. No one. The step came again, closer. I drew back from the door. My phone buzzed a third time. Campus Safety Bulletin. Reminder: doors must remain unlocked between 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. Random checks will confirm compliance. I shut the book. The words meant nothing anyway. The door's knob quivered, almost imperceptibly. Just once, then still. I whispered, "Nora." No reply. The light above my desk flickered once and steadied. I sat back down, but kept my eyes fixed on the door. Another message appeared on my screen, this time not under the banner but as a direct push notification. Room 224 confirmed unlocked. That was my room. I gripped the phone tighter. A faint exhale of air moved under the doorframe, as though someone crouched there. The lock clicked again, not moving, just sounding as if it had been tested. I typed a quick text to Nora. "You hear that?" Her reply came fast. "Ignore it. Keep your door shut. Don't listen to those alerts." I stared at the knob. At 11:07, the alert banner returned once more. This time it simply said, "Thank you for your compliance." The sound in the hallway stopped. I didn't move from the chair for the rest of the hour. The next night started quiet. Maple Hall's corridors had the usual muffled echoes of doors closing, faint laughter leaking through plaster walls. I stacked notes across the desk, flipped open my laptop, and half-watched the clock creep toward midnight. At 11:06, my phone buzzed again. Campus Safety Bulletin. Leave your room keys visible on your desk for emergency personnel access. Compliance mandatory for Maple Hall residents. I stared at the screen, then at the keyring in my palm. I texted Nora, "You get this one?" Her reply came quick. "Yeah." Ignoring again. "Don't you?" I typed back. "Says it's mandatory." 3 dots blinked. Then, "Mandatory doesn't mean safe. Don't be an idiot." I placed the keys on the desk anyway, right beside the stack of books. The hallway outside went silent. Not quieter, silent, like sound had been shut off. My lamp flickered. At 11:15, another message pushed across my screen. Room 224 compliance not confirmed. I froze, eyes on the door. The knob hadn't moved, but the brass lock clicked faintly, like someone tapped it with a nail. The message updated again. Room 224 compliance confirmed. I hadn't touched anything. The keys were still exactly where I left them. I stood, walked to the door, checked the bolt. It was loose, exactly how I'd left it yesterday, still unlocked. Behind me, a faint scrape whispered across the desk. I spun. The keys lay shifted 2 inches left, tilted as if nudged by invisible fingers. I backed to the wall. Another alert tone buzzed. "Do not move keys from visible position. This is not a test." I grabbed the phone, typed to Nora. "It knows. Keys moved." Her response, "I told you to stop playing along." A shadow stretched across the thin gap under my door, long, unmoving. The knob twitched, once. I whispered, "Nora." Silence. The knob twitched again. My phone vibrated violently, screen filling with a new notification. "Asher Bloom, your door sounds locked. Please comply immediately." I rushed forward, checked the bolt again. Still loose, not turned. Another scrape crossed the door. I backed away, grabbed a chair, and wedged it under the knob. The metal squeaked against the frame. The shadow under the door thickened. It lingered, stretching wider, like someone crouched inches away. I texted again. "It says my door's locked." "It isn't." "Nora, turn off your phone. Stop giving it attention." I held the screen anyway, watching as more text appeared without a tone this time, sliding across the screen like an instant message. "Compliance confirmed. Thank you, Asher." The shadow faded. At 11:32, footsteps returned. One set, slow, crossing past my door, away down the hall. I left the chair braced in place and didn't unlock it. By morning, the keys sat exactly centered on the desk again. By the third night, Maple Hall's corridors sounded empty long before midnight. Most students had started keeping to their rooms early. I noticed fewer lights under the doors, fewer footsteps overhead. At 11:59, my phone vibrated. The alert tone stuttered twice, then cleared. Campus Safety Bulletin. Effective midnight. Keep bedroom doors open at least 3 inches. Compliance required. Random checks ongoing. The screen glowed longer than usual, the letters holding steady as though daring me to ignore them. I opened Nora's door without knocking. She sat cross-legged on her bed, laptop open, earbuds dangling. "You saw it?" I asked. She nodded, glaring past me at the hallway. "They're pushing further. Don't do it. It says random checks." Her voice cut sharp. That's not safety. That's control. Think about the break-ins. No way they'd tell us to leave doors open. My phone buzzed again in my pocket. Room 224 compliance not yet confirmed. I held the screen out to her. It's tracking by room. Nora snapped her laptop shut, then let it track. I'm not leaving my door open. A door down the hall creaked. We both turned toward the sound. Someone's knob rotated, hinge squealing. Then silence. Nora whispered, "They're making people do it." I stepped back to my side, left her staring. In my room, the lock hung loose the way I'd left it. I measured 3 inches with the edge of a textbook, nudged the door just wide enough, and set the book against the frame. My phone pinged. Room 224 compliance confirmed. The air shifted faintly against the open crack. At 12:07, I heard a soft tread in the corridor. I leaned to the peephole, but with the door ajar, all I saw was a thin slice of hall. A shadow slipped past, stretching across the floorboards, slow and patient. The knob didn't move, the door didn't widen, but the shadow lingered. I whispered, "Who's there?" The shadow bent, someone crouching, then gone. I backed toward the desk, phone buzzing again. "Thank you for your cooperation, Asher." I didn't type anything back. By 12:30, another alert pinged. Do not adjust door width. 3 inches minimum required until 6 a.m. The book against the frame rattled, slid half an inch. I picked it up, pressed it back. The shadow returned. This time it stopped flush with the gap. The carpet fibers bent inward slightly, weight pressing down. My lamp flickered once. I pulled a chair closer to the door, sat stiff in it, keeping the crack in sight. The alert tone chimed again, distorted this time, pitch warping before it settled. Asher Bloom, remain compliant. Random inspection imminent. The knob turned halfway, then released. A slow scrape trailed away down the hall. At 12:52, Nora texted, "Someone's in the building." Hall camera shows nothing, but I heard breathing outside my room. I typed fast, "Leave it locked. Don't open." Her reply, "Not planning to. Stay awake." I stayed in the chair until morning light edged the curtains. When I finally shut the door, the wood pressed heavier than usual, as though something leaned from the other side. At 6:01 a.m., my phone gave one last ping. Room 224 compliance logged. Inspection complete. The knob clicked once more before going still. By the 4th night, I wasn't studying anymore. Book stayed closed, laptop shut. I sat at the desk, waiting. The clock blinked 11:58. The alert tone came at 12 o'clock sharp. Campus Safety Bulletin. Reminder: bedroom doors must remain open at least 3 inches until 6 a.m. Inspections ongoing. I cracked the door, checked the angle with my textbook, and backed toward the desk. The phone buzzed again almost instantly. Room 224 compliance pending inspection. The lamp flickered. Footsteps entered the hallway. Slow, even. They stopped directly outside my door. The gap darkened. Something stood there, blocking the fluorescent wash from the hall. I stayed seated. The knob turned once. Not a full rotation, just enough to test pressure. Then stopped. Another alert tone pulsed. Distorted this time, dragging longer. Inspection in progress. Remain compliant. The gap widened half an inch. I hadn't touched the door. "Nora?" I called softly. No answer. The shadow crouched again, stretched longer across the carpet. A faint rasp came from the hinge, steady as though someone leaned forward against the frame. The phone buzzed. "Visual inspection incomplete. Do not obstruct." The chair legs scraped as I edged it closer, putting the desk between me and the doorway. At 12:09, Nora texted. They knocked on mine. I didn't open. Ash, it's not staff. I typed, they're opening mine. Won't stop. Her reply took longer. Barricade it. Break the rule. Better than letting them in. The knob turned again. The door opened to exactly 3 inches once more. Perfectly measured. Another alert. Compliance verified. Thank you, Asher. The shadow receded. Footsteps faded back down the hall. I stayed still until 12:30, then rose and pushed the door shut completely. The bolt slid into place with a final snap. The phone shrieked at once. The alert tone stretched like a scream. Non-compliance detected. Room 224 under review. The lights died. From the hallway came 3 heavy knocks against the wood. Each one shook the frame. I whispered, "No." The phone lit again. Unlock and maintain compliance immediately. The knocks repeated, louder. Nora texted, "Don't open it." The wood bowed slightly inward, pressure from outside. I dragged the chair back, wedged it under the knob again. At 12:44, the alert changed format. No red banner this time, just scrolling black text on white. Coordinator en route to room 224. Remain in position. The air pressed harder against the frame, bending it more. Another message followed. Coordinator inside building. Prepare for inspection. The knock stopped. For a full minute, silence. Then, faintly, the squeak of hinges 2 doors down. A door opening without resistance. Another. Another. Each hinge groaned as though moving in sequence. My phone buzzed again. Coordinator 1 room away. Nora's text came through. If they open mine, I'll scream. Get out if you can. The next hinge squealed. That was her door. She texted once more, not staff, not human. Then nothing. The hallway fell silent. My phone displayed one final line. Coordinator standing outside room 224. The knob twitched, then stilled. I didn't move. The door remained shut against the frame, bolt holding. The screen went black. The morning after the coordinator stood outside my door, Maple Hall buzzed with rumors. Some students packed bags. Others swore they'd seen security inside rooms without knocking. By noon, a bulletin printed on official campus letterhead appeared taped to the elevators. Campus Safety Advisory. Students are reminded. Allow entry to any staff displaying official emergency credentials. Do not obstruct. The same notice hit phones at 6 p.m. with the alert tone stretched into static before resolving. I showed it to Nora in the cafeteria. She shoved her tray away. They're making us open the door for them now. It says credentials. Could just be housing staff. Or not. Did you see anyone leave their room last night? Because I didn't. I shook my head. At 11:55, back in my dorm, my phone buzzed. Campus Safety Bulletin. Effective immediately. Allow entry to any personnel displaying emergency credentials. Random verification ongoing. The banner lingered until the screen dimmed. I checked the door. 3 inches open, exactly as I'd left it. At 12:03, footsteps returned. Heavier this time, not the cautious tread I'd heard before. A knock came, steady, 3 raps. I froze. A voice followed, calm and clipped. Emergency services, displaying credentials. The door stayed open just enough for me to see a rectangle of laminated plastic slide through the crack. Campus ID. The logo shimmered under the fluorescent hall light. The voice repeated, verification required. Allow entry. I texted Nora. Someone's at my door. ID through crack. Her reply, don't let them in. Credentials can be faked. Another knock. Louder. Room 224. Confirm compliance. My phone buzzed. Coordinator outside. Immediate access required. I held the chair braced against the knob. The plastic rectangle wavered slightly as if the hand holding it didn't quite grip right. Open the door, the voice said again. I whispered toward the gap. What's my name? Silence. The ID card withdrew. Footsteps retreated down the hall. My phone flashed a new message. Non-compliance noted. Coordinator will return. I didn't sleep. At 1:12, another set of footsteps stopped outside Nora's door. Her muffled voice carried, "Show me your badge." A different voice answered, "Emergency services, coordinator authorization, immediate access." Nora shouted, "Then tell me my name." Silence. A thud slammed her doorframe. The knob rattled. She screamed, "Go away!" My phone lit again. Room 226 refusing compliance. Coordinator authorized to proceed. Her screaming cut short. A door hinge squealed. Then silence. I typed frantically, "Nora?" No reply. At 2 o'clock, the bulletin refreshed across my phone. Campus Safety Bulletin. Reminder: compliance ensures safety. Obstruction results in forfeiture of protection. The word forfeiture blinked once before the screen steadied. I sat in the chair until dawn. When morning came, Nora's door stood ajar, 3 inches wide. Her room looked empty from the hall. Bed neatly made, desk clear. Her phone buzzed once inside, faint vibration on the wood surface, then stopped. Nora's door stayed open all morning. By lunch, maintenance staff rolled a cart past, glanced in once and kept going. Nobody entered. I tried the knob at 2 p.m. The hinge gave the same 3-inch opening, perfectly measured. The bed looked untouched. Desk empty. Closet bara. Only her phone sat on the dresser, screen black. I called her name through the crack. No response. Back in my room, I powered my laptop and searched Riverside University alerts. The official site listed only fire drills from last semester. Nothing about door compliance. At 5:13, my phone buzzed again. Campus Safety Bulletin. Reminder: allow entry to all personnel with credentials. Non-compliance results in forfeiture of protection. The word forfeiture blinked twice, then steadied. I texted Nora anyway. You there? No reply. At 9:40, the hallway lights dimmed. Not off, but lower, like someone adjusted a slider. A few doors down, another knock echoed. A voice. Emergency services. Displaying credentials. Silence followed. Then a thud. Hinges groaned. Another room opened. I paced between desk and door. Every lap I checked the bolt. Every lap I checked the phone. At 11 o'clock, an unexpected buzz came. Not the campus alert tone, but a text from an unknown number. If you're in Maple Hall, get out. They're not staff. Don't open for anyone. I typed back, "Who is this?" The reply came instantly. Tessa. Off campus. Tracking alerts. Yours are corrupted. Don't comply. I wrote, "Too late. Already did first 3 rules." She responded, "Then you're tagged. They'll escalate. Don't give them access." At 11:59, the alert tone shrieked again. Campus Safety Bulletin. Coordinator beginning inspections. Display credentials before allowing entry. The font looked distorted, letters too thin, edges flickering pixel by pixel. Footsteps started down the hall, slow, heavy. They stopped outside my door. 3 knocks. Emergency services, the voice said. Credentials displayed. The laminated card slid through the gap again. This time, it lingered, hovering as though waiting for my hand. I stayed back, phone in hand. It buzzed. Room 224 under review. Compliance expected. The voice outside pressed harder. Open the door, Mr. Bloom. I froze. They knew my name. Another buzz from Tessa. Don't move. Don't talk. Wait them out. The credential card scraped against the frame, then withdrew. The footsteps passed. I sagged into the chair, laptop still glowing. Another message appeared from Tessa. They only leave when they think you'll break later. Don't. At 12:34, a knock rattled 2 doors down. A student shouted, "Show me your ID number." The hallway fell silent. Then the thud of a door frame giving way. Screaming followed, then silence. My phone buzzed again. Room 218 forfeiture complete. Compliance secured. At 2 o'clock, I opened Nora's door wider. The hinge squeaked, but nothing moved inside. Her phone lit once, displaying a single alert across the lock screen. Compliance confirmed. Thank you, Nora. I backed out, shut it 3 inches again. By dawn, the halls carried no sound. Only open cracks, each door measured the same. At 7:12, one more bulletin arrived. Campus Safety Bulletin. Coordinator authorized to enter any non-compliant space without warning. Prepare accordingly. The words without warning blinked until I dismissed them. By the 5th night, Maple Hall looked wrong. Every door stood cracked 3 inches. Light strips leaked from each identical. Nobody spoke in the halls anymore. At 11:50, my phone lit. Campus Safety Bulletin. Effective immediately. Maintain all doors fully open until personally dismissed by the emergency coordinator. Compliance mandatory. The font glitched, letters twitching at the edges. I texted Tessa, "New rule. Once all doors open." She replied, "Don't. That's the trap. Once open, they don't close." At 12:02, the alert tone blasted, longer than usual static stretching. Room 224 compliance pending. Coordinator monitoring. I looked at my door, still 3 inches ajar. 3 knocks came instantly. The voice, "Open your door fully, Mr. Bloom." Coordinator order. A laminated card slid halfway inside. This time, the photo was smeared, features blurred. I stayed at the desk, typing fast. "They're here now, outside." Tessa, "Ignore them. If you open, you won't get it shut again." The knob twisted once. The door pushed wider. 4 inches. 5. My phone buzzed. Room 224, non-compliance flagged. Coordinator en route personally. I jammed the chair under the knob again. The door pressed against it, hinge whining. Another alert came. Warning. Obstruction detected. Remove all barriers. The words blinked red. Footsteps echoed down the hall. Heavier. Purposeful. I typed, "Sounds different tonight. Not like before." Tessa, "That's him. The doorkeeper. If he comes inside, you're done." The lights overhead flickered out. The hallway went black, except for thin strips of light under doors. My phone lit white. Coordinator inside Maple Hall. Immediate compliance required. A knock slammed my door again. The chair legs slid half an inch. The voice outside lowered. Steady. "You don't need locks anymore, Asher. Doors stay open until I dismiss you." I stayed silent. The phone buzzed. Coordinator authorized to override. The knob spun full this time. The chair rattled. The door slammed halfway open before the chair jammed it. The strip of hallway visible was empty. No figure. just black air stretching down the corridor. The voice spoke again, this time behind me. Doors open, Asher. That's the rule. I whipped around. Nobody inside. My laptop screen blinked white. Words scrolled. You've been dismissed from safety. The desk lamp cut out. I texted Tessa, he's inside. Not visible. Talking. Her reply came, don't acknowledge. Don't respond. The voice whispered again, closer. You already opened the first 3 rules. Just finish. Leave the door wide. The chair creaked as invisible weight pressed. At 12:44, the bulletin refreshed across my phone. Campus Safety Bulletin. All Maple Hall rooms must remain open until personal dismissal. Coordinator will not leave otherwise. Every door in the hall swung open wider at once. Hinges groaned in unison. The corridor shone empty, every doorway a perfect square of light. My chair snapped sideways. The door flew fully open. The phone buzzed. Room 224 compliance confirmed. Coordinator entering. The door gave an audible click at exactly 2 o'clock. My phone lit up at the same moment. Compliance confirmed. Doors open until dismissal. The latch rotated without my touch. I stepped back fast, pressing against the wall. The door inched forward on its own. The hallway waited, fluorescent lights humming. I whispered into the air, "You're not coming in." No answer, but the hinge moved again. The gap widened another inch. Across the hall, apartment 3B's door opened with the same measured click. I saw it from my angle, unoccupied hands, no occupant visible. My phone vibrated. Tessa, all synced. They want uniformity. Don't close it. I typed back quick. I'm not standing by an open door all night. Her reply came, you close it, you're flagged. No override possible. The hallway lights flickered once. All doors visible down the stretch stood ajar by the same width, a silent line of surrender. A broadcast cracked through the speaker overhead. Occupants, remain compliant. Coordinators are present. Dismissal occurs upon verification. Non-compliance results in forfeiture. The line buzzed dead. I pushed a chair against my door, angled sideways. The gap stayed open, but resistance slowed it from swinging wider. Footsteps echoed, slow, heavy, measured. I crouched low. A shadow crossed the hall outside my gap. Something paused. My phone buzzed again. Tessa, hide from view. They inspect doorways. Don't speak unless addressed. The shadow stayed put. My door creaked as weight pressed gently against it, like testing the tension of the chair. Occupant of 3A, a voice said. Too deep, mechanical, layered. Coordinator requests confirmation. I didn't answer. Occupant of 3A, it repeated. Step forward. Verbal acknowledgement required. I raised my phone. Text to Tessa. Do I respond? Her answer, yes. Single word. Name only. I cleared my throat, leaned toward the crack. Asher. The pressure on the door eased. The steps moved to the next apartment. Occupant of 3B. Confirm. Silence. The pause stretched. Occupant of 3B. Confirm. Still silence. Then, with no warning, the door to 3B flew wide. No hands on the knob, no visible push. The interior darkened instantly, light from inside replaced with black static. A sound came, a scraping as though furniture dragged across tile, but not from inside, from everywhere. I typed furiously. They took 3B. Tessa's reply, yes. Missing now. Compliance prevents forfeiture. Stay silent unless asked again. The hallway lights dimmed in sequence, moving toward me like falling dominoes. When they reached my door, The fluorescent tube above flickered. Occupant of 3A. I didn't move. You remain compliant. The voice was closer this time. The shadow bent low. Through the crack, I saw fabric, black, stitched with numbers. The patch displayed C04. My phone buzzed with another bulletin. Coordinator 04 present. Do not initiate eye contact. I pulled back instantly. The shadow lingered. The broadcast static filled the hall. Then silence. I risked a glance. The door to 3C was already opening. Occupant of 3C. Confirm. A shaky female voice answered. Maya. Remain visible. Door remains open. Await dismissal. The shadow moved further down. I sank against the wall, phone clenched in my hand. Tessa, they log acknowledgements. When dismissed, close door. Not before. I typed, when does that happen? No answer came. Another step echoed, then a second pair. Two shadows now stretched across the floor. The overhead speaker hummed again. Multiple coordinators present. Expedite acknowledgement. All doors remain open. Doors down the hall clicked wider. Hinges creaked as gaps doubled. Mine pushed forward, chair legs dragging on tile. I dug my heels, forcing the chair back against it. Occupant of 3A, the voice said again. Do not resist the angle of entry. I shouted toward the gap. It's open. Angle insufficient. Correction required. The door pressed harder. The chair legs screeched. I shoved it back again. It's open. Static filled the hall. Then another voice layered over the first, higher, broken, like two radios playing at once. Forfeiture imminent. My phone buzzed violently. Screen flooded with system text. Non-compliance flagged. Tessa messaged immediately. Asher, move the chair now. I typed, if I do, it comes in. Her answer, if you don't, you're gone like 3B. The door jerked. The chair toppled sideways. The gap widened fully. I froze, staring at the open frame. The hallway waited, still empty. No figure entered. My phone flashed. Compliance reinstated. Door open. The lights steadied again. Across the hall, 3CS door slammed shut on its own. A scream cut off mid-sound. The hallway fell silent. Tessa, you survived. Stay by the wall. Do not close it until dismissal. I typed, how long? Her reply took longer this time, until coordinator finishes the floor. Sometimes dawn, sometimes not. The overhead speaker clicked on once more. Occupant of 3A. Confirm dismissal status. Pending. The broadcast ended. I stared at the open doorway, every second stretching. Somewhere down the hall, another door creaked wide, and footsteps turned back in my direction. The siren on my phone screeched again, louder than before, rattling the desk. Bulletin 5. Doors must remain open. Text bled across the cracked screen. Compliance confirmed until coordinator dismissal. No exceptions. Nora's gone. Levi's gone. Now it's me. I whispered, pacing. My dorm door creaked wider on its hinges without a touch. The hallway pulsed with motion. 3 doors down, someone screamed. The sound cut short, replaced by the scrape of wood against concrete. I leaned out. Every door in Maple Hall cracked open, some only inches, others wide enough for silhouettes to slide inside. My phone buzzed again. Building-wide compliance, 92%. The number dropped in real time, 91%, 90%. Across the hall, a boy leaned into his doorframe. Hey, Asher, it won't close. He shoved his shoulder into the wood. The hinges groaned, then snapped forward, forcing his door open. His desk toppled. The bulletin tone repeated from his phone, blaring through static. From deeper in the corridor, a figure turned. Its badge glowed. Coordinator authorized. The student stumbled backward as the figure advanced, its face blurred by a shimmer of digital haze. When it passed under the flickering ceiling light, his features bent, stretched, then snapped back as though the air itself edited his face. "Stay open until dismissed," the coordinator said, voice flattened, like speech run through bad software. The student tried to run. His phone buzzed. Non-compliance flagged. Forfeiture in progress. He collapsed as if strings had been cut. His door yawned wider, swallowing him into dark. I ducked back inside my room, shoving a chair against the frame. Not me. Not yet. The phone vibrated again. A new line crawled across the display. "Asher Bloom, your compliance will be confirmed." "No," I muttered, backing toward the desk. "You're not confirming anything." The bulb overhead flickered. My desk drawer rattled open on its own. The spare key slid out, landing perfectly center on the desk surface. My throat dried as I snapped the drawer shut again. Another bulletin scrolled. "Manual override enabled. Coordinators inbound." From outside, dozens of footsteps converged. The echoes overlapped until it sounded like the building itself was moving. My chair shuddered against the frame as pressure built from the other side. I texted Tessa. "They're forcing all doors open. Hallway full. Can't hold it." 3 dots. Then her reply, "Not just you. I'm tracking 5 campuses. Same alerts. Same language. Same entity." "What entity?" I typed, knuckles white around the phone. Her response came fragmented. "They call it the doorkeeper. It exists in thresholds. Only grows stronger with compliance." Another crash hit the hallway. My chair skidded. Hinges shrieked. The door slammed open halfway, pinning the chair at an angle. I dove forward, gripping the frame. My voice cracked. "I never dismissed you." The buzzing in my phone peaked. Bulletin. "Doors remain open until dismissal. Coordinator arriving." The figure entered view. Its steps were soundless, but every time it leaned forward, the hallway behind it blurred, as though whole sections of Maple Hall were erased frame by frame. The boy who vanished earlier stood beside it now, slack, unmoving. His eyes were black voids. His ID badge glowed with the same line, "Authorized." "Tessa," I whispered into the phone, "they're making more coordinators. There." Static cut my words short. Across the desk, my laptop screen lit itself. The emergency alert site auto-opened. My name displayed in bold, "Pending coordinator assignment." I slammed the lid down. "No, not me." The coordinator at my door extended a hand. Its fingers stretched too long, glitching across frames of movement. "Open." I tightened my grip on the frame. "You'll have to drag me out." Behind it, another figure appeared. Taller, head brushing the ceiling, face unrecognizable, features smeared like clay, yet the badge still glowed. From down the corridor, more doors cracked. Students were dragged silently from their rooms, pulled into shadows, then returned seconds later, their movements synchronized. One by one, their phones blared the same confirmation: "Coordinator status assigned." My device screamed again, "Asher Bloom, compliance required." "I'm not joining you," I said through clenched teeth, pushing the chair back against the door. A knock sounded soft, deliberate, different from the ramming and static outside. I froze. Another knock, then a voice perfectly mimicking Nora's. "Asher, let them in." I turned, pressing my back against the wall. "You're not Nora." The door nudged forward, pressing the chair aside. The first coordinator leaned in. Its voice split, overlapping with Nora's, Levi's, and someone else I didn't know. "You're dismissed." No, I lunged for the desk, grabbing my phone. I typed blindly to Tessa. "If I vanish, warn them." The battery icon blinked red. Then it died, screen black. The laptop snapped open again. Video feed live-streamed the hallway. Dozens of coordinators, dozens of students transformed. My door still open, my name still flagged. The bulletin tone repeated, drilling through my skull. "Maintain open status until dismissal." I whispered to the empty room, "I'll never dismiss you." The corridor outside grew louder, footsteps converging, all marching toward my half-open door. The chair splintered under one final push. My door swung wide with scraping tile. I scrambled back, knocking papers from the desk. The coordinator crossed the threshold. Its badge flickered, line by line, until letters bled. Dismissal granted. Behind it, shadows bled inward. The boy with black eyes stepped in next. His phone projected a message across the wall. "Coordinator status active. Orders synced." His mouth moved in silence, words delayed, then caught up a second later. "You're joining us." I grabbed the desk lamp, swung hard. The figure staggered but didn't fall. The badge glowed brighter. Behind him, the taller shape bent its head to fit the doorway. The walls warped around its shoulders as if refusing to contain it. My phone shrieked. Bulletin, Asher Bloom, dismissal in progress. Doors must remain open. I hurled the phone at the taller figure, cracked against the frame, screen spiderwebbing. The alert tone still blared through static. I bolted for the back wall, pulling my dresser across the doorway to the small bathroom. The wood scraped loud. The lamp cord dragged across the floor behind me. "Closing doors is non-compliant," the coordinator's voice warned. Multiple voices layered under it. Nora's, Levi's, dozens overlapping. I yanked the bathroom door shut. Hinges squealed, lock clicking into place. The bulletin tone cut out. For a moment, silence. Then the laptop burst to life again. Alert Connect override active. A new line scrolled. "You have isolated yourself. Isolation is violation." The bathroom light buzzed overhead. Shadows bled under the crack in the door, stretching in long jagged lines across the tile. I whispered, "Not coming in here." From the other side, the taller figure pressed against the door. The frame bowed, hinges popping. My mirror rattled on the wall. The laptop's voice, synthetic and exact, came through the speaker. "Asher Bloom, dismissal requires compliance. Step forward." I slammed the toilet lid down, climbed onto it, and shoved open the tiny bathroom window. Rust flakes rained onto the sill. Outside, the quad spread empty under broken floodlights. Other dorms loomed, their doors wide open, black voids yawning. From half the windows, students leaned out, blank-eyed, badges glowing on their chests. All in unison, they said, "Dismissal confirmed." I froze at the sight. One row of windows blinked, shutters flapping in rhythm. Another row slammed open all at once. The sound cracked across the quad like synchronized gunfire. Behind me, the bathroom door groaned. A hand stretched through the widening crack, fingers bending wrong angles to reach the knob from inside. I shoved myself through the window frame, scraping elbows on the sill, and dropped into the damp grass below. Alarms blared from my phone in pieces. Doors must remain, then static. The dorm entrance slammed open below. Coordinators poured out, dozens now, each marked, each badge burning. They moved without hesitation, heads turning in sync toward me. I sprinted across the quad. Each building I passed glowed with open doors. Students lined the hallways like mannequins. Their voices carried one phrase in overlapping chorus: Dismissal confirmed. Dismissal confirmed. From the library, a massive shadow uncoiled through the doorway. Its frame bent higher than the roofline, head grazing the second-story windows. The doorkeeper. It stretched across multiple thresholds at once, filling each one like liquid spilling from cracks. Tessa's number flashed on my broken phone. I answered without slowing. Her voice broke through static. I traced it. Spread isn't local. Asher, every university's seeing the same alerts. Thousands already gone. They're everywhere, I gasped, ducking behind a lamppost. Across the field, 3 coordinators turned their heads in sync. Listen, she said. The only pattern. Their reach stops where there are no doors. No thresholds, no openings. They can't cross. How the hell do I find no doors? Underground. Sealed spaces. Anywhere cut off. The phone cut to static. On screen, battery critical. The doorkeeper moved again. It leaned through 3 separate doors at once, its head emerging from dorm, cafeteria, and gym simultaneously. Each face half-formed, each voice misaligned. They all turned toward me. I bolted toward the maintenance tunnels by the stadium. My sneakers slapped wet pavement. Behind me, doors burst open one by one, each slam echoing closer. At the field's edge, I wrenched up the metal grate and dove inside. Rusted rungs tore at my hands as I slid down. The grate crashed closed above me. Darkness swallowed the tunnel. The phone buzzed one last time before dying. Threshold bypass detected. I pressed forward into black, tunnel air thick. Ahead, a glow appeared dim, flickering. Another student crouched near a junction, phone in hand, screen lighting his face. His badge glowed on his chest. He looked up, eyes hollow. Dismissal confirmed. I turned back toward the ladder. The grate above screeched as something pressed it inward. A shadow moved against the thin bars. The boy stood, moving in jerks, head cocking side to side. He opened his mouth wider than natural. From deep inside came the bulletin tone, shrill, repeating, "Remain open until dismissal." I backed against the wall, gripping the rusted pipe. My words tumbled out. "I'm not opening anything." The tunnel lights buzzed overhead. Every rusted door lining the maintenance corridor slammed wide. Air sucked outward, pulling the tunnel into a vacuum. At the far end, the doorkeeper's massive head bent low to enter, scraping concrete. Its face pressed against the narrow space, glitching from one expression to another, each frame stolen from the students it consumed. All around me, the students it had remade stepped forward in sync, each voice identical. "You are dismissed." The tunnel shuddered as the doorkeeper pressed farther in, its vast head brushing the ceiling, scraping loose chunks of concrete. The sound carried like stone breaking. I bolted left at the junction, sneakers splashing through shallow runoff. Behind me, dozens of voices repeated in perfect unison. "You are dismissed." The maintenance lights flickered out one by one, leaving stretches of black. Only my phone screen glowed faintly, battery icon red. I tapped it, dead. From ahead, a metal door slammed open. 3 students shuffled out, each wearing badges that glowed the same phrase, "Authorized." Their movements jerked in sync like badly looped footage. One raised a hand. His phone projected words across the tunnel wall. "Dismissal corridor ahead. Entry mandatory." I skidded to a stop. My eyes darted between them and the side hatch marked equipment only. A wheel handle sealed it tight. I spun it. Rust flaked off, metal groaning. "Non-compliant," one voice droned. All 3 stepped closer. The hatch finally gave, swinging inward to a narrow crawl space. I shoved inside, dragging the door closed. Their footsteps halted on the other side. Then, in eerie chorus, "We will wait." The crawl space reeked of damp metal. I crawled forward, knees clanging against pipes. The space narrowed until I had to slide on my side. Static bled from somewhere ahead. A faint glow flickered at the crawl space's end. I pushed faster until a vent opened into a concrete chamber. I dropped down, landing in ankle-deep water. A massive screen flickered on the far wall, emergency alert format filling it. Bulletin: all doors must remain open until final dismissal. Beneath it, lines scrolled. Coordinator Bloom pending activation. No, I muttered, slapping the screen. It flickered but didn't change. From the water below, dozens of phones floated upward. Their screens all lit with the same message: Coordinator Bloom. Their alarms joined into a warped chorus. I kicked one away, grabbed another, smashed it against the wall. The pieces dissolved into static, melting like ash. A voice echoed through the chamber, not from speakers, directly from the concrete. Compliance strengthens us. Resistance assigns you sooner. I'm not joining, I shouted, pacing the flooded floor. The water rippled. From the far wall, a new door appeared where blank stone had been. Its outline glowed faintly, hinges forming, handle twisting. Dismissal corridor opening, the voice said. I backed toward the vent. It sealed itself behind me, bolts screwing inward without tools. The glowing door clicked open. On the other side stretched a hallway lined with hundreds of thresholds, all doors yawning wide. Each doorway showed a different room, dorms, bathrooms, classrooms, all connected, all waiting. The doorkeeper's vast shape loomed across every frame at once, inhabiting them simultaneously. Its faces leaned from multiple doors, glitching across identities. Nora's face, then Levi's, then dozens of strangers flickered, each voice layered. Join us. Open. Remain open. My throat tightened. No, I never dismiss you. The chamber lights blew out. Darkness swallowed everything except the glowing door. The phones in the water buzzed louder. Their screens projected a final line. Pending dismissal countdown. 60 seconds. I rushed the opposite wall, hammering fists against concrete. Nothing gave. I searched with frantic movements, hands running across stone for any hatch, any escape. Nothing. The countdown ticked. 50, 49, 48. The doorkeeper leaned farther through the glowing door, stretching into the chamber. Its massive head bent close, eyes glitching across frames. 1 second, a stranger. The next, Nora. The next, my own reflection staring back at me. Dismissal confirmed. It echoed in my voice. I stumbled backward, grabbing a rusted pipe from the wall. I raised it, shouting, "Stay out!" The phones buzzed louder, static warping until words formed. Resistance accelerates assignment. Coordinator Bloom imminent. The countdown hit 30. From the tunnel above, more voices gathered. The students were chanting again. Their footsteps pressed closer, echoing. I swung the pipe at the glowing door. Sparks burst. The projection of rooms flickered but didn't vanish. The doorkeeper's head remained, shifting faces faster and faster until the blur became unreadable. 20, 19, 10. The chamber vibrated. Cracks split across the ceiling. Water poured in faster, swirling around my ankles. Phones bobbed, screens glowing underwater like drowned eyes. The doorkeeper's face leaned closer, glitching into alignment with mine. His mouth opened. My voice emerged. Step forward. End it. I shook my head, teeth grit. Never. The countdown screamed 10. I bolted for the glowing door, not to enter, but to slam it. My pipe jammed into the hinge. I threw my weight forward. The frame groaned. The doorkeeper roared in silence, its mouths opening across every doorway. Students screamed from the tunnels beyond, voices overlapping with the bulletin tone. 5, 4, 3. The door finally buckled. The glow snapped out, corridor gone. Silence fell. The phones all went black at once. Only dripping water remained. I collapsed against the wall, pipe clattering into the flood. Then my dead phone buzzed in my pocket. I yanked it out. One final message blinked across the cracked screen. Coordinator Bloom, dismissal delayed. Await final command. The light died completely, and in the dark, footsteps echoed closer. The overhead monitor flashed Coordinator Bloom. Dismissal delayed. The countdown froze at 1 second. Static surged from every speaker, then flattened into a tone that vibrated through the metal rails. I scanned the chamber. The doorkeeper's duplicate still lingered where I'd slammed the glowing door. His face shifted, now a fractured copy of mine. Assignment failed, it said in my voice. No, I shouted, gripping the bent steel pipe. You don't get to write the ending. The monitors warped again. Letters bled downward. Final directive pending, compliance or termination. Footsteps closed in from every corridor. I swung the pipe toward the shadows. No bodies followed, just echoes multiplying. I grabbed the terminal keyboard. The keys stuck together like resin, but the command line was still alive. A blinking cursor waited. Override request, Y/N. Yes, I typed. The screen convulsed. Threshold override requires sacrifice. Sacrifice, of course it did. The doorkeeper's duplicate leaned closer. Open the doors. Feed the sequence. Freedom is denial. Not today, I muttered. I ripped the cord from the back of the terminal. Sparks flew, monitors dimmed, and the chamber shook. The countdown stuttered, cycling between 0:01 and midnight but never reaching completion. Static swallowed the room. Then, across every monitor, a new message scrawled. Coordinator Bloom has abandoned the network. Isolation is permanent. The railings split down the center. Metal peeled away, revealing an opening into raw dark. The doorkeeper's copy recoiled, its form glitching into static fragments. I didn't wait. I ran. The passage twisted like unfinished architecture. I followed the rails, dragging the pipe against the wall to keep balance. Behind me, distorted footsteps mimicked mine at half speed. I pushed harder, lungs scraping, counting the rails under my boots. 10, 20, 30. The passage opened onto a stairwell, but every step faced downward into void. Exit required, the speakers said in unison. Exit required, the echoes mocked. I sprinted down 3 flights. At the landing, a red emergency phone sat on the wall, receiver dangling. It rang once, then again. I grabbed it. Bloom, the voice croaked. Rule 2 violated. You crossed alone. Dismissal enforced. No, I said, clutching the receiver tighter. I'm still here. I'm not yours. The voice hissed. Then the doors are gone. A slam echoed above me. I glanced back. The stairwell had sealed, no path up. The phone went dead. I kept descending. The rails bent, sloping into a chamber filled with blank screens. Each flickered on in sequence, showing real streets, empty intersections, playgrounds without children, bus stops abandoned mid-route. Then one screen showed my apartment door. Another showed the newsroom. Another, the stairwell I had just fled. I stepped closer. Each monitor blinked my name across the glass. Asher Bloom. Observation ended. No, I whispered, banging the pipe against the nearest screen. Cracked, fizzing, but the image remained. The speakers roared, "Final rule engaged. You cannot return through thresholds. Exit denied." My grip on the pipe slipped. I forced my voice steady. "Then I'll make my own exit." Across the chamber stood a final door. No glow, just steel bolted shut. A stenciled word painted across it: service. The doorkeeper's fractured form crawled across the ceiling, limbs jerking wrong, still wearing my face. "You won't survive," it said. "Maybe not," I replied, ramming the pipe into the lock. The metal bent, then snapped. The door swung open, revealing a corridor lined with real concrete, not rails. Air rushed through, damp and ordinary. I bolted through before the monitors could react. The corridor climbed sharply. Concrete stairs, fire exit paint flaking, fluorescent tubes buzzing. Each landing bore faded signage: exit 2 street level. Behind me, the doorkeeper screamed through every intercom at once. "Isolation enforced. Return required. You are cut off." I ignored it and kept climbing. 2 more flights, then a rusted door at the top. I shoved my shoulder against it. The hinges shrieked. "Night air met me." Real night, sky above, wind across asphalt. I staggered into an alley. The warehouse behind me stood silent, doors sealed, windows bricked. No rails, no monitors. Only silence. I stumbled toward the street. A lamppost buzzed overhead. Cars passed in the distance. Then every phone in the neighborhood rang at once. A synchronized emergency tone screamed through the air. Every screen in the convenience store window lit with a single phrase: "Asher Bloom is no longer authorized to enter thresholds." All doors are closed. Pedestrians stopped mid-step, staring at their phones. Some turned toward me. "Isolation is violation," they whispered in unison. I backed away. "Stay out," I shouted, swinging the pipe toward them. "I'm done with your rules." But they only stared, repeating the line. I ran again, cutting through alleys until the voices faded. By the time I reached my apartment, the door was sealed with industrial bolts. A paper notice hung there: "Coordinator Bloom dismissed. Access denied." I didn't touch it. Instead, I collapsed against the stairwell railing, pipe clattering beside me. The city kept humming. Phones buzzed in every pocket. TVs played silent news anchors with static mouths. I knew the rules hadn't disappeared. They'd just been rewritten against me. That's where it ends. I'm writing this from a basement I broke into, one without screens. I can't cross thresholds anymore. Elevators stall when I enter. Automatic doors freeze. Subways won't open their cars. The world itself has shut me out. But I'm alive. If you're reading this, remember the rules. Don't take assignments. Don't cross alone. Never trust a duplicate. Don't slam the wrong door. And if the alert says, "Coordinator Bloom," run. Because the next name could be yours. Emergency alert system. Final override. Warning: this message is not for you. Do not repeat. Thresholds remain unlocked. One resists. All will follow. Signal lost.